So Yiscah, you have gone through so many different, obstacles in your life and really overcame them in the most magnificent way. So I want to ask you, if someone's listening and they're struggling with something, could be struggling with like a real terrible sickness and they're losing hope, or it could be a person who's struggling in a broken relationship, or it could be a person who's struggling with, gender issues, sexual issues, identity issues, and or it could be a person who's struggling, suicidal, that something, really is blocking them from meaning and happiness and, the will to go on. What advice would you give to them? If you could, just for a few minutes talk about, what would you want someone to hear in that moment of darkness?
I really hesitate to answer this question because I don't like to give advice. I rather share experiences. But you asked me the question. So I feel, in honoring you, I want to offer advice that is as klali but yet is not absolute. And I hope whoever listens to this hears it with the compassion that I'm sharing it with, that it's enveloped, it's muluveshet, the eitzah is muluveshet, is enclosed with compassion. I turn to Viktor Frankl in Man's Search for Meaning. When he started realizing trends at Auschwitz, he lived at the same time as the Piaseczna, but from such a different world, from Vienna as a psychiatrist who was not the most observant of Jewish either spirituality or halachic practice. And yet, he believed that the ikar, the essential ingredient that a human being needs, is not to be happy, but to have meaning in life. And when he was in Auschwitz, it was a real challenge for him. And what he did to give his own life meaning, he started studying trends. And he noticed that there were people who may have been younger than others, may have been stronger physically, believe in God, not believe in God. But he was able to see when they gave up to despair. And within 72 hours, they passed. And then he saw people who may have been more frail, older, again, believing in God, not believing in God, who held on. So it perplexed him, which actually kept him alive. What was the difference between the two? If it was not physical strength, and it was not even spiritual strength, he came up with this conclusion, and this is my advice, that first of all, pause. Don't do anything if a person's in that kind of darkness. Pause, and try to create the shift of the question that you're asking. What did he notice? The question that people came into Auschwitz with was, what does life have to offer me? We all ask that question. Life has to offer me health, companionship, love, family, community, all these beautiful ideals. What do you say that when you're in Auschwitz? Lo Aleinu, we don't even know we can't even imagine how horrible it was. The people who kept asking that question got to a point where, how did they answer? What does life have to offer me? Nothing. And he said within 72 hours they were gone. The other people, including himself, they realized, I need to shift. I need to ask a different question. Rather, instead of what does life have to offer me, what is life asking of me? What is life asking of me? So for all of those, and really it's all of us have moments. My moments are not finished. That one moment is finished. There'll be another moment. When there's darkness, when it's not really clear, when there's suffering, as the Piaseczna writes, suffering can bring one close to God where joy cannot. Just the way joy can bring one close to God where suffering cannot. But ultimately, the question I need to ask when I'm suffering is, what's being asked of me? What's being asked of me? That's worth my attention. That's worth captivating my soul in that moment. And there I may have an answer.